I guess the question about whether we have time or not is how much you guys want to talk about these set of episodes, really.
I have so many notes.
The last couple, like 19 and 20
notes.
Okay, so maybe, keep it light.
Yeah.
I have a
think
feeling,
we're going to have
Andy,
to
and
keep it light.
I think we have a red flag note about the same thing for one of them, but we'll get into it.
Which one was that one?
Oh, we'll find out.
Okay. All right. Red flag note. $174, Michael, not prime.
Not prime. Definitely even.
Okay. We can stop this game now. This Arithmetic Chicken. I don't have a good... All right. Hi. Welcome back. This is We Were Gamers, a podcast. I said the name of the podcast too fast, but it's 174 episodes, so we have to keep moving. It's a podcast about Michael. Hi.
Out here doing some math.
JJ.
Hello. Not doing math here.
But good at math still. You do computer math.
Yeah. The computers do the math. To be clear.
And I'm Andy, and we're grown-ups with jobs, and so we talk about what we do when we also like to try and squeeze in games, but also when we don't have time to squeeze in games, we talk about the things we did. Michael, you and I might be some of the only people that I know that have been to Buffalo, New York.
I mean, people live there, you would presume.
Unclear.
I think Snow lives there, and football players.
Yes. There was. Let's say I saw a lot of red and blue this weekend.
You went to a Bills game?
No, but it turns out that during football season, you don't have to go to the game to see lots of Bills gear.
Ah, it's like Denver.
I mean, Buffalo has what else going for it in terms of professional sports teams? The Sabres, and that's it?
This is true. They have a lot of other things going for them, and I joke about us being the only people to go. Hopefully our numbers don't suffer too much from insulting the great border town.
Or we don't get slammed through a table by the Bills Mafia.
I was just about to ask if you encountered the Mafia out there.
Did you?
I did not.
That's probably for the best.
If I were playing fantasy football this season, which I'm currently not, I would have invested in Josh Allen as my quarterback, sight unseen not sight unseen because he played last year, but I would have drafted him as my quarterback to start this year for my fantasy team. That was my plan.
He was a good pickup for me this week.
Mm-hmm. Turns out the magic is real. Hey, how do you like that town, though?
It was a great place. So we did probably we definitely did the top two things that people tell you have to do when you're there. One of them is you have to try buffalo wings from either Anchor Bar or Duff's.
Okay, did you pick?
We actually wound up coincidentally having both.
Oh boy, this is the
age-old split the difference.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Anchor Bar for lunch when we first got there, and then we were there for a wedding. We went to the welcome party on Friday night, and they had brought in wings from Duff's for the welcome party.
Oh no, were they cold?
They weren't exactly hot, but they weren't quite cold yet. They were still good though.
Okay. A wing has to be hot, and we have fresh opinions about this.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite an apples to apples comparison. I agree with you that they should definitely be served hot. But I think that I liked the cook of the wings better from Anchor Bar and the sauce better from Duff's.
All right, so you're a sauce man.
Yes.
You're not a rub guy.
No, although I do like dry rub chicken wings from time to time.
I think I should switch that up, and it should be a sauce guy and a rub man, not a rub guy. I think rub guy sounds a little risky. FCC risky.
Gotcha.
I will say that sauce is my jam.
Wait, but
I'm not going to.
All the wings you had this weekend were rub wings.
And they were great.
Interesting dichotomy between buffalo wings and California tailgate wings. We some multiple people at our tailgate had the same idea. We didn't want to go invest in grilling a duck before playing against Oregon.
Yep.
Ducks are
So
big.
we all went and got
Hard to
wings.
carry.
Next best thing.
And we all showed up with different rubs, like handmade, homemade rubs. Which was,
They were very good.
yeah, I liked them.
Nice.
I wished we had had some buffalo sauce to drip on there afterwards, but you know what?
It would.
I had
Beggars can't be
I had
choosers,
enough
and I
for
was
all
very
of
happy.
us.
Okay. What's the verdict on the wings, man? Buffalo, either one. Is it? They're good, right?
Yeah, they're
Oh.
both good. You can't go wrong
Sweet.
really with either one. Buffalo, in fact, has a chicken wing trail that is, I think, 13 restaurants.
Okay.
I love it.
So
I'm
you
in
can
there.
do the whole trail if you want. I definitely would not be able to do it in a day, but maybe over a long weekend.
That sounds like a worthy long weekend.
Yeah.
How does the taste of those buffalo sauce compare, the originals? How does it compare to like the stuff you can get everywhere out here?
It kind of depends. So the original Anchor style is what I grew up with.
Okay,
It's
we got to
the
establish a
recipe that-
baseline here of like Frank's Red Hot.
Right. Frank's Red Hot is the like standard buffalo flavor as far as I personally am concerned.
It's not quite Frank's. It's close. It's a little bit closer to if you've ever had Crystal.
Like the hot sauce?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a little bit closer to that style than to Frank's. But again, it depends on where you go.
Sure. I was just curious, like in terms of like more viscous, more runny, more vinegar, less vinegar.
More
You know,
baked on or more,
So
more
the
sculpts
original-
jumped on after?
The original recipe, as I understand it, takes a vinegar-based hot sauce and then adds a little more vinegar and butter and mixes them together.
And is that baked on or is that drizzled on after
It's
cooked?
tossed on after.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's always been the way I've encountered wings like this.
Mm-hmm.
Generally at restaurants and stuff like that. So
Yeah, the other main way you'll find places do them, and I don't know if this also originated in Buffalo, is replacing the vinegar-based sauce with some sort of cayenne-based sauce.
Can we please start a chicken wing sub pod?
Oh, we could absolutely do that.
I mean, I often went out of town for work, especially just try out local chicken wings. It's a
I
thing.
would join you on this quest, but I don't have
Alright.
any out of town places I can go to get chicken
This
wings.
is great.
The podcast would just be me saying like, yeah, I went to Epic Wings and Things again because there's one near my house.
I don't hate BW wings. I just have to say.
No, their standard hot recipe is maybe the closest of a lot of the chain restaurants to maybe to the original, at least to what I prefer.
I think the quality of the meat is lower than I would hope overall
That's-
at the restaurant.
I mean, that's chain restaurants,
Yep,
right?
there's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's the issue with literally every chain.
Mm-hmm.
And why half the times at some of those chains I just order chicken tenders for that reason, because like their wings are like, this is grade F. And I'm good without this.
That's the pod, man. That's it right there. Grade F. That's the name of the chicken wing sub pod.
Boneless. I'll go on record and say boneless wings are just nuggets.
I don't
think
Okay,
Go ahead.
JJ, you go first. You go first because
Opinions
we're gonna
coming
have a
at
different
me.
opinion.
I you know what? Let people live their life. I personally understand that feeling, but look, boneless wings are fine. Let people eat them if they want.
Oh, I'm not
whatever.
saying people shouldn't eat them. I'm just saying when
You
I
don't
think
wanna call 'em
wings, yeah, I don't
So
think
here's-
of.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I agree with the sentiment that the consistency of the object you're eating is not a wing. However, the connotation of ordering a wing invites you to expect a certain flavor profile. So if you order boneless wings, you know you're not just getting fried chicken tenders. You're getting some sort of tangy sauce that is probably spicy-ish.
Okay.
So I don't begrudge a restaurant calling it a wing, but I will never serve a boneless chicken wing.
I think that's fair.
Sure.
If you ask me in the abstract, like to draw a chicken wing without any other kind of qualification, I'm gonna draw the standard bone-in chicken wing.
Which brings me to the next question, the debate that we had over dinner at the wedding. Drumettes or flats?
Flats.
I was just about to say the flat is the standard.
Okay.
Oh, are we talking
not that I'm gonna
preference
turn-
or
I
like what a wing
was
is?
talking preference.
Okay.
Preference.
Yeah. Preference. I mean, both are served as wings, and that's fine. I like the cool, and this kind of tracks back to like why there are boneless wings is people taking drumettes and making the little poppers out of them, where you put all the meat at the top.
Oh, the lollipops.
Yeah, chicken lollipops. Yep.
But I prefer a flat.
I think a flat is more iconic as a chicken wing to me.
It's more fun to eat.
It's messier for sure, but also more what I expect to be.
And they tend to be crispier.
Yeah, because they're thinner.
Skin to meat ratio is
not
better.
necessarily thinner, but they're a uniform thickness across them.
That's my preference.
I mean, that said, if you just gave me a plate of all drumettes, I'm gonna eat them all because it's fine.
Yeah.
Unless they're ghost chili wings, JJ.
I might try to eat them all, and then I just will have a sad day.
We cried in the bathroom together.
I remember.
This was We Were Gamers, a podcast about chicken wings and travel.
The Winging It Minute.
Winging it. Oh, no. Now we have two names for the sub-podcast. That's not good. Okay, we'll tune in next week for Winging It.
That's our intellectual property. Do not steal.
Do not, R? Register.
Yeah, whatever it is.
I think it's
it's definitely for real business.
Can I just, I don't want to do the research, but I really want to subscribe to the Winging It pod because I'm sure it exists. I kind of buried the lead earlier. We did some travel too, JJ and I, to go watch a Stanford football game with the families.
I mean, in theory, a football game happened while we were there. It was hard to see sometimes, apparently.
It was a football game until one team stopped scoring.
Yeah.
There was a chance that there could have been a football game until about the mid of the third quarter, and then it became clear there wouldn't be one.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the point.
Nope.
Yeah. We did a little bit of traveling up there. The wife and I went up to the Palo Alto area for the Stanford Oregon game and tailgated with you and some other friends of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Shout out, Kirchers.
Yeah. And that was a grand old time. I had a great time, I think.
With the wine and cheese crowd?
You know what? The wine and cheese crowd this weekend, we had a little bit of Oktoberfest early because why not?
Lovely.
Yeah, there was brats and unplanned. There was the wing contest first, and then brats and pretzels and a big tankard of, like that Heineken can thing where you like tap it and all that. Of some German Pilsner showed up as well. It was a good time.
Yeah, very good time.
Yeah. Both of you, I hope, did some gaming on the go this weekend. Because otherwise we got nothing to talk about. Just kidding.
I actually took my Switch out of the dock and took it with me on this trip.
Do you know how to hold your Switch when it's not in the dock?
I mean, with my hands.
Did you have to watch a tutorial video?
No, I just kind of grabbed it.
First mistake.
Oh.
How bad were your hand cramps? That's what I want to know.
I mean, it didn't hurt that bad because I was mostly lying down while I was using it. So,
all right.
I did not bother to get it out while I was on the plane for a couple reasons. Number one, both times through security, I got dinged on it by having it in my bag.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Anything larger than a cell phone now has to come out of your bag.
I don't know when that changed, but they were pulling out. It's like, oh, what is this? It's like, it's my Kindle. I've traveled with it 700 times and never pulled it out before. And they're like, oh yeah, we have to run this through again.
Oh my Lord.
Every single time my bag was pulled, both going and coming. And yeah, I had to pull out my Switch. I had to pull out my Kindle. And like they were looking, it's like, oh, what is this? I'm like, this is a external battery. Like it's not that special. Like I was shocked, definitely.
We've got to do something. People fly, like literally at certain points, even the bags are going to be stuffed with electronics, right? Like you'll have built-in batteries, you'll have this, you'll have that, and
Smart bag.
Smart bags.
I mean,
there you go. That's the word that I should have used at the beginning, and everybody would have known what I was talking about. Yeah, those bags that you can sit on, like from,
those already exist.
Yeah, what's Grand Tour where they race the bags through the airport? You can take those through security.
Yep. So I don't, so that was unexpected, and then made me afterwards not want to get it out again because of all the hassle, having to pack it and unpack it and repack it and all that. So I didn't end up playing it on the plane, but I did play some in the hotel room and stuff, and that was a good time. The screen is small, and the text is very small. And if you wanted to do anything with that, like, man, you better hope that whatever game you're playing doesn't have a lot of text. That's as I played Fire Emblem on it, and then had to read a lot of text.
After having had it docked a little bit and playing some Smash Brothers, I definitely see that, like, in certain games, not in all games, but in certain games, I've handicapped myself a little bit by using that screen. And I've also since purchased a case that gives me some grip to play it handheld, but I'm glad you've joined the handheld crowd, at least so you know what the experience is like.
Yeah, it was fun. And I definitely will say that I understand why people are like, this is kind of awkward to hold. It's not great.
Not great.
Especially since if you want to have it plugged in or whatever, the cord is directly on the bottom. So then that's like in your way no matter how you hold it.
I do have to at least
wonderful.
Shout out some defense of it and say, even though the 3DS was smaller and lighter and therefore easier to hold long term, the same grip of your hands problem exists.
Also the same plugging it in the center of the bottom problem.
Mm-hmm. You know, in theory, Nintendo has a Switch Lite, which remedies these problems, but actually it doesn't because the screen is smaller even than this one. And I believe the charging is in the center of the bottom. So,
womp.
Yeah. It's a hybrid device. And, the focusing on making sure the dock works well and that you play it on the TV and it's powered up enough, you gotta cut somewhere, right? Like, it can't be everything to everyone. And I'm glad that it's most things to most people. I still enjoy my Switch, and I still play it handheld all the time.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed really is, like, since I had mostly played it docked before, when I was playing it undocked, I was like, this is the thing that people say, like, the visual quality is way worse. It's like I can see the jaggy edges on the edges of these units and stuff. It's like, oh, okay. So
the jaggies don't exist on a TV?
Or at least if I'm sitting far enough away that I don't notice them, or they're more minimal or something. But they were extremely noticeable when they're like right up in your face.
Oh, gotcha.
And I didn't notice them before, so.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a good time. That hotel room was really weird. I don't know, you guys. I don't know how many hotel places you guys have stayed at in that area. It was a perfectly nice hotel. I didn't have any issues with it. But the room had the oddest layout I've ever seen.
Okay.
It had a standard entrance, and there's the bathroom off to the side, and then there's your big bed there, and the little across from the bed is the little stand, like, with your drawers and the mini fridge and where the TV is, all that, the usual thing. There's a little tiny desk on the side with a chair. Okay, very normal. And then past that is a couch. So we were staying at a Crown Plaza. I guess they're like kind of suite-like kind of rooms, but it's not like as big as a suite.
Okay.
But, directly opposite the couch, where you would think would just be a wall, was a little corner that was separated by a wall before you got to the bedstand or the nightstand and the other side of the bed. There's like this little nook on the side of the room, completely separated from the rest of the room.
Like
why is it there?
Okay.
Like
It's like a little corner.
changing room?
Maybe. I guess, but you could walk in there. It's not like there was a door or anything separating it. It was just open. It's like a little corner to go put your kid in timeout or something. And there was nothing there. It was just empty wall and wallpaper or whatever they had, and just like that's it. The couch faced this empty corner.
Was there a mini fridge in the room? Maybe that's where the fridge goes?
The fridge was already there in the next to the chest of drawers place.
I'm very confused.
It was so weird. It's just like go to this corner. Here's your shame. Go at the shame corner over here. Like, I don't know what you were supposed to do with it. Or like, I guess if you had a crib, you could put the crib in that corner.
Maybe.
So that it's farther away from you if you have to get up in the night or something.
You should have bought a stool and just left it over there see what people would do with it.
Yeah, just like, dude, you're on timeout. Kid, sit over here. I don't know what.
Think about what you did.
Easily the weirdest part of that whole experience.
Oh, man. That's funny.
So weird.
Michael, did you do any gaming on the go?
We played the game of Don't Go Over the Giant Waterfall.
The Niagara Waterfalls?
Yeah, that one.
It's a good game to play.
You played chicken with it in a barrel? Like, what are we talking about here?
No, I did not have much time for gaming.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Between the wedding planning and our own sightseeing.
Yeah. Sometimes on the flights or something, but that's cool.
We took a red eye, which cut my flight time in half.
It also means sleeping is necessary. Yeah. That's a good idea, though. I like doing that if I can. Mm-hmm. And it gets you right on the right time zone. I finished the Dark Crystal series.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah?
And I watched that old movie.
Okay.
To follow it up.
So first, how did the old movie hold up?
Not great. Not terrible. Not terrible.
I would say that it is a cult kind of movie, right? It's like well liked among a certain crowd or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's very much a cult classic. I enjoyed watching it, but it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't like...
Would you have enjoyed it having not seen the other thing?
Sure. Yes. It's an attempt at fantasy. I thought that the puppets were trying to be a throwback in the show to the original movie, and that's why they were a little limited. They definitely... The Skeksis puppets... Everything was better. All of them were better in the show. Like, they definitely upped them in terms of their expressionism and their ability to not emote because their faces don't move, and that's still the weird part. But the bodily movements and stuff were still better. The story is very light in the movie, much lighter than I expected given what happens in the show. But there's definitely some references in there that are answered in the show and stuff. So, like, if you remember liking it or having watched it and thinking, oh, that was cool, I think that people aren't going to be disappointed by that show. I don't know.
Okay.
It wasn't a super deep... There's not a, like, super deep thing going on, but definitely what they're trying to do with this Netflix series... I don't know if the Age of Resistance is something that they're going to continue or if they're going to change it up and go with another age in the timeline of this story, because there are a lot of books out there. I looked this up out of curiosity to see why things were the way they were in Age of Resistance, the show. There's a lot of books that kind of lay out a timeline for the universe of this thing. And they could do a lot of different stuff. So I think that's their attempt to flesh out the universe of the movie that's pretty light and definitely ends up feeling like a cap. Like the movie is the end cap, right? Like there's nowhere to go after that movie. So it has to come before. So it's
I'm still kind of intrigued by it, but I don't
It's weird to see people building a fantasy universe based on a movie that's 35 years old. Right?
I think that like the lore that had always surrounded that movie was like Jim Henson had expected it to do so amazing, and then they were going to have this whole world of movies that came off it, but then it completely bombed, and no one was way into it.
I could see no one being way into it at the time. It's beyond being kind of light in a story. It's very methodical and slow. Like some of the characters in themselves even walk very slowly and move very slowly and talk very slowly. And they show all of it. Plotting characters walking across the desert. You're like, I get
some of that though. Some of that though is just 80s movies.
It's filmmaking in the
which
80s.
are different than now. Yeah, for sure.
They are different. And some of the 80s filmmaking that's different is the hero gets sent on a nondescript quest and doesn't know why, but he's doing it anyway. And it's like,
yeah,
what are we doing here? Like, okay, I don't understand the motivation of some of these things, and it's light, but I understand why people like it as a cult film. It's fun. It's fun in its own way. So the show ends up being fun in its own way too. It's much, if I had to say filmmaking wise, it is much better than the movie itself out there. Yeah, it was cool. I'm not sad for having spent time with it. It's not a ringing endorsement, but if you're into Jim Henson or fantasy or whatever, it's worth a look, I think.
Or I guess stop motion animation.
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, if you're like a Robot Chicken fan, no. Although Robot Chicken probably has made Dark Crystal references multiple times.
Undoubtedly.
No kidding. But nobody wants to hear any more about that. If they do, they can email us at podcast@weweregamers.com. I'll be glad to answer any questions about it. What they really are here to hear about, JJ,
is Evangelion.
I finished up to 20. Michael?
Oh, man. I did the same.
All right.
I had a very hard time not just keeping going after the end of
Spoiler
this.
alert. Episodes 15 through 20.
Thank you for throwing that out there. Yes.
Y'all, if you want to follow along and have watched that far, feel free to keep listening. Otherwise, skip a while and maybe we'll talk about some stuff at the end.
Boy, oh boy, are there spoilers right at the beginning.
So, yeah, we ended at 14 because I told you it was a good place to end. It turns out I wasn't lying. And stuff really kicks into gear immediately, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah.
We were right. There is something that the angels want, and it's Adam, and Adam is an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Not just any angel. The angel.
First one.
Right? Is he the first one? He's the first one, right?
He's the first one, yeah.
And
so, yes, right?
And They're pretty sure they say that.
they say he's the first angel and that he was around and also caused the second impact because an angel touched him.
Did they refer to this as Adam directly
Yes.
here?
I think they did.
Kaji does, I think.
Kaji does.
And Misato assume this is Adam.
Yes.
Maybe, I guess we could be being lied to by the show.
Kaji shows Masato this giant crucified
Angel.
thing.
Yeah.
Down in, by the way, Terminal Dogma, which all the names inside Nerve have like the greatest names.
We gotta talk about the Human Instrumentality Project at some point.
Oh, are we interested in talking about the Human Instrumentality Project?
I mean,
you
it's
guys?
in this episode as well.
Uh huh. What do we know about that?
Not much.
Not much, but it certainly sounds like Ray being used to make dummy plugs is part of the Human Instrumentality Project, maybe?
There's definitely some stuff going on with the dummy plugs, right? Like,
Yeah,
they've been using Ray for some kinds of weird, nefarious purposes here.
So dummy plug is just a shorthand for remote pilot, I guess?
Well, they seem to be like
That's not how they treat it, right?
Right.
uploading portions of human consciousness enough to trick the Avas into thinking that they still have a pilot.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's also this Marduk agency that we get introduced to as well.
Oh yeah, the Marduk reports. They're
Which,
coming out.
just like those computers show up out of nowhere as more information that we didn't have before that may or may not actually add anything to it, because as we find out later in this, it's all a dummy setup to say that Shinji's dad is just running the show by himself.
Well, you find out a little earlier that it's without exactly knowing what it is, that it's a dummy corporation when you get that bit of Shinji's history where he's investigating them and just finds a bunch of abandoned buildings.
Right. You mean Kaji.
Kaji.
Right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kaji already kind of knew that the Marduk agency was kind of not a thing, and they had mentioned earlier when like Shinji was revealed as the third children, which I still hate saying. That it was kind of like, he's like, the Marduk report predicted he would be, the third children, and they just kind of throw that away, and you never hear about it again until now, and they kind of reveal it to not really be a thing at all.
Right.
And it's just them picking whoever they feel.
Okay, can we do a timeline thing for a second here?
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Shinji's mother died. First of all, that scene in the graveyard was freaking amazing in its hilarity. Shinji and his dad standing in front of the mother's grave, not talking. Shinji thinking they're having a great time. The dad telling him he's basically a loser, and then gets dusted off by a helicopter in which Rei is, and leaves Shinji in the graveyard.
He comes in to like look at his mom, and he's like, "Yep, still dead. All right, see you, son."
Man,
yeah, doesn't he say something like she's not really here?
What? Yes, that is actually important. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I think that's important. But the timeline, her grave says she died in 2004. When was the second impact?
2000.
Yes, I believe
because
it was
it's 15
right at
years
2000.
before the setting of the show, which is 2015.
So all the kids were born afterwards.
Yes. Because all of them are 14.
So all of them are born in 2001. Shinji's mother died 3 years later, which is about the same time that Ritsuko's mother dies.
Yeah, that seems like that timeline lines up.
Something's hinky here with the mother being dead. Later on, they accuse Ikari of having killed her.
Wait, you mean they accuse Gendo of it?
Gendo, yeah.
Okay, that he killed his own wife?
I think that's part of Shinji being in his own head.
I don't think so. I think
part of the...
Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, I took it as being part of Shinji's internal journey.
I took it as probably true that he killed his wife, because he says there's nothing left of her. So my hackles were raised. What is that? The hair on the back of your neck?
Hackles.
Mm-hmm. Hackles were raised when he said that there was nothing left of her for whatever reason, because in 2004, that's after the impact. And then later on, people say that she was killed by him. I'm thinking she's involved in some of this human instrumentality thing.
Okay.
Or there's something going on with Rei being like her daughter or a clone or something else. But you guys, I guess, Michael, you didn't get that feeling because you didn't think that it was a legitimate he killed?
No, I think at the time I thought that when he said that she's not really here, I think I just took it as maybe she got like vaporized in an angel attack.
But there weren't any
definitely
angel
something
attacks.
we've seen.
No, but
Right.
there weren't any between 2001 and 2015, right? So she would have to have been vaporized in an Ava experiment.
Okay.
also a thing that probably was happening during that time. We get some character stuff going on here, though, right?
Yeah. Yes, we should talk about that too, because this episode's weird in that nothing happens, but a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. So, episode 15, right? Even right at the kickoff, Asuka gets set up on a blind date by the class president and has a pretty bad time, it seems. And then
she bails.
Comes home and
Max
a
down
bored
on Shinji
teenager, and they make out in the most childish way, of course.
Shinji almost suffocates.
Yeah,
that's Japanese filmmaking.
This is some anime tropes happening here, but also this is probably the most tasteful they've done childhood romance.
It was quite striking in its reservedness compared to the Misato breakdown in the same episode, which was extremely out of character and not graceful or gracefully made.
Problematic, yeah.
Very. Even in English.
Yeah.
I went back and rewatched it. I was like, maybe the dub is bad. Nope.
No. Watching it I watched it subtitled, and the old subtitles aren't any better about this. It's all just kind of why would you do this?
Yeah,
this is bad.
It's a bad damage to a good character.
You feel bad about her character for this whole thing, for sure.
Do.
At least she finds out that he's a double agent at that point. Yay!
Yes. Kind of knew, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, she certainly probably suspected at least.
And Ritsuko's also onto him.
Right. And at least that pays off for her later when he takes her down into Terminal Dogma there to show her the thing that he says is Adam.
Ikari seems to me, as we move on to the next episode, to always be missing during angel attacks. Am I wrong?
Or at Gendo we're still talking about here?
Gendo Ikari seems to always be missing, at least during the beginning of an angel attack.
No, because
he's definitely gone a lot.
Yeah, he's gone a lot, and
he's not always missing.
He was gone for the inverted shadow angel, but by the end of this run of episodes, he's definitely there.
Okay, so the inverted shadow angel eats the city, but you find out that that's not the shadow, that's the angel.
Yeah, I'm going to need Terrence Howard to describe that math to me.
Oh my!
Wow, yes. Yes.
What an amazing reference, and so timely. We could maybe that's what blew his mind. He watched too much Ava.
It might be.
Mm-hmm.
So the angel sort of is they wave a bunch of science words around. It's
really
a fourth dimensional being.
I really have no notes for this because it's all gibberish.
And it's all so super fast, too. They're just throwing anything out that they can think of.
Yeah, it's all gibberish.
Gibberish.
Which means there's not much to talk about except that Unit 1 busts out of the angel by itself with no power.
Yeah.
And we assume it's to save Shinji. Which means, to me, something that we'll get to at the end, probably. Something's wrong with Shinji's hand. As they get through this episode and all the subsequent ones, you start to see Shinji moving his hand all the time. Foreshadowing something.
Is it?
It's gotta be. It's either hyper-focused filmmaking for some reason, or it's foreshadowing. It has to be one. Why would you show him moving his hand like that all the time? Other opinion?
It seems, at least to me, a lot of what's going on with that is just Shinji trying to muster the will to even bother. You get a lot of indifference from Shinji here.
I definitely have gotten the anime trope of the balled fist, right?
Right, yes.
His close-up of the anime characters gripping their hands tightly.
And he just can't be bothered to do this.
He doesn't do
care.
that. He has this weird half grip, he's got an invisible tennis ball there. And it's always when he's around an Ava.
I think though that he does So in the very last episode of this set that we watched, or maybe it was of 19, when he comes back and decides to fight again, that you do see him finally make that fist. And I think the moment
that
has
was
more
the foreshadowing.
The moment has more impact for you, having seen him kind of just, dithering away with his hand in indecision.
Okay.
Right.
See, I misread this one. I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah, that was where I was going with it, because I think it's like the anime trope. You're definitely right to have read that, of like the making the fist and saying like, I have the power, I can do this.
Right.
Is definitely not something that we see from Shinji throughout most of this, and then him finally doing it there at the end is kind of the payoff.
Something in Nevada goes boom,
and the whole base just disappears.
Yeah.
Yep.
And thousands of people, I guess, as well.
Yeah, all of Nerve 02, their second branch in Nevada.
They pull the fourth children's name out of a hat at random and say that he's already been picked.
And decide that the U.S. government's like, all right, Evangelion Unit 3, who we have built already, we need to get it out of here because it's going to blow up like whatever happened at Nerve 02. So
right, and we start to hear something about S drives here.
You heard
S2 drives.
Yes, you heard a little bit about them before. They were referenced.
Yeah,
but
all they say here is that like maybe the S2 drive went off.
Right.
It's
yes.
like so that's why the U.S.
that?
government doesn't want 3 anymore.
Sounds a bit like an N2 mine, doesn't it?
A little bit, something. I don't know. We find out who the pilot is.
No, you don't.
No.
In fact, there are 2 whole episodes before you find out what the pilot is.
This whole thing with the Unit 3 pilot felt to me like watching an episode. This is very specific. Watching an episode of Wheel of Fortune, where it's very clear what the answer is, but people keep guessing letters rather than just solving the puzzle.
Yeah.
You have all the consonants, just put the O in there.
You have all the consonants, right. And then someone buys a vowel on top of it.
You can see what they're trying for here, right? But they don't do a very good job. It's like, they're trying to build all this tension because no one tells Shinji the whole time, right?
Well, so there's a heck of a lot to skip in between, and the whole point of all that stuff in between is there's a lot of time in there and nobody tells Shinji.
Yes,
and I have no idea why nobody tells Shinji by the end of it.
In order to make a dramatic scene.
Yeah, Shinji has to not know to get where they're going by the end of that.
Right.
Can I when we get to the end of it, I postulate it would have been better if he had known.
You think he would have been more willing to kill his friend?
No, come on. Okay, so we're off the map. None of this is on the Dead Sea Scrolls. We get to Toji being the pilot.
Is it?
It's what he says. Gendo says this isn't on the Dead Sea Scrolls, so they're all freaking out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that he said
We can
that.
skip ahead, I think, very safely to Ava 3 going nuts, blowing up the base and probably killing everyone. Toji's stuck in there as the pilot. It can't be ejected. So Shinji, without
the angel
knowing
attacks and infects Unit 3. It goes crazy.
So an angel attacked Unit 3, or Unit 3 is the angel?
So no, Unit 3, you see it happen, but you don't realize at the time what it is.
Okay.
When you see at the end of the scene where they're transporting it and you hear some guys speaking in English, they fly into a cloud.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's this flash of lightning.
That's an angel taking over the unit?
That's supposed to be,
Okay.
It getting infected. And then later you see the angel...
the arms and all that, yeah.
And it's all infected and stuff.
Yeah.
They do a bad job of telling you that that's the point, but you're supposed to like infer.
That's
what
fine.
happened.
No, I was kind of hand waving on it anyway, but I'm glad that it was more explained than I thought. So the angel won't let Toji out, and see, here's where it gets like kind of silly. Like, Shinji won't fight the angel to begin with.
He doesn't want to kill his friend.
Well, he doesn't know anybody's in there to begin with. And then it disables the other 2 units and he doesn't want to fight.
Well,
And
he's
then
already been saying how he doesn't want to pilot the Angels and the Avas anymore.
Right.
He sees the plug in it before.
Well, that's before he sees the plug, and then he sees the plug won't eject, and he's like, "Oh no, there's a person in there. It doesn't matter who it is because he still doesn't know." And I don't want to fight because I don't want to hurt the person. Ignoring the
he didn't want to get into the machine to start with, which is why they sent the other 2 before him.
And then his pops takes over with a dummy plug, but how can they have a dummy plug if he's already in there?
It's a backup system. They basically just flip the switch and take control away.
2 plugs in it?
No, I don't think the dummy plug is actually a physical plug. I think it's just the name for the system.
Okay.
Right. It's basically like, hey, we're disconnecting your little control there, and we're using the computer now.
Then the Ava flips out because Ray is the pilot of the backup system or the dummy plug or whatever you want to say, and destroys the other Ava completely, including crushing Toji's pilot plug.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Shinji sees them pulling Toji out, and then he loses it.
Loses his mind.
Shinji has the craziest scream, by the way.
In all languages.
Yes. The actor, the U.S. voice actor, or the English voice actor here actually does like a really great job, I think.
It does good. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Let's take a pause here. I think it would have been better if he'd known it was Toji in there.
I mean, you can have an argument about it if you want. We kind of just have to have the text as is.
I know. Yeah.
And, the whole thing kind of going on here is that they've sort of been showing that piloting these giant killing robots machine things, it has been pretty traumatizing for these kids.
Sure.
It's not great, and they're making them do really not great things. And
all the kids at the school are also pilots. Let's not forget. That's part of this episode. You find out the 412 protocol or whatever.
Oh, right. Like why all these kids are still at the school. It sort of turns out that actually, they were all there for a reason, probably. Or potential pilots, I guess.
Yeah, they all passed a certain phase of the training.
Maybe I just choose to believe that he knew all along because it makes more sense for him. I mean, I get that he's exhausted and doesn't want to pilot anymore and doesn't want to fight, but if he knew it was his friend, why not tell him his friend would got to be a pilot? He's got to deal with these other 2 ladies that don't even like him. Maybe him knowing his friend's a pilot would have been good.
I think they don't want to tell him because Shinji already knows how crappy it is to pilot Avas. And if his friend that, was having a, trying to have a normal life now is dragged into this hellhole with him.
And it probably is worth saying that Shinji hasn't quit yet at this point for the second time.
Yeah,
this is what drives him to quit.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Finding out Toji was the pilot causes him to quit completely. He makes a man moment out of himself, kind of, and walks away. Ava 1 starts to reject everything that they tried to do to get it to be piloted.
Mm-hmm. As he's walking away, another Ava shows up.
Yeah,
another angel.
Another angel. Yes,
and that one, maybe the coolest one we've seen so far, just straight wrecks the armor and gets down to the geofront instantly.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't messing around. It was just like, hey, man, we're just gonna kill everything here. Let's just move this along.
And the other Avas are kind of, one of the 2 is not in ready to fight mode. Still doesn't have an arm from the previous fight. Ava 2 is not so hot in terms of combat. It turns out, it seems like
very quickly decapitated.
Dude, wrecked. They were able to save Asuka from feeling like she was
yeah,
that word.
Yeah.
And then Shinji has a moment with Kaji where he has decided he's not going to do it. He's not going to pilot in the vegetable garden after he almost dies because the head of Ava 2 crushes the building he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment in the garden with Kaji is great. And here's another weird thing in this whole thing. He could have gone back to pilot the Eva as a man and comes back as Shinji instead.
What do you mean, Andrew?
He quits for real. He stands up to his dad. He becomes the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to choose to be in pain to help save people because, like Kaji said, I'd rather die in my garden. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why does he go back and then beg and cry in front of his dad again? It's like a reverse character moment.
I didn't read that as him begging.
Okay.
I read that as him finally growing a bit of a backbone, more of a backbone, having already walked away.
This might be a scene I have to rewatch in different languages then.
And did you watch it in English or with subtitles? Dubbed or subtitles, I should say.
I can't remember what, because I kept flipping back and forth, so a lot of the time I don't remember which one I watched it in. I think this one might have been in English and it sounded whiny.
Okay, because I listened to it subtitled, and the Japanese at least came across, the tone of it came across as him like demanding that he's the only one who can do this.
Okay.
Also, I think it was probably a fact that he was the only one that could do it, whether it sounded
sure, but
whiny or not.
He doesn't know that at the time.
Oh, no.
He doesn't know
you're
all
totally
the things
right.
that have failed.
But Gendo knows.
Gendo knows. And
Sure,
Gendo was in the middle of doing something here that we never find out what it was, other than being a coward and not knowing what to do.
Yeah. Also, while Kaji and Shinji were talking, right? Kaji kind of tells him what's up with the Evas, right? He kind of says like, hey, you need these Evas to fight the angels, because if the angels make contact with Adam, it's going to trigger the third impact, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is something that had never been explicitly stated until now, even though you could kind of guess what was going on here.
Yeah,
Right.
This is the first time it gets spelled out.
Right.
And Shinji magically shows up in the Eva as the angel has access to Adam. He can jump down a hole and touch him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes ham, but runs out of juice.
Yeah, he runs out of the battery power right at the
right before he returns the favor of decapitation.
Yes.
And then the angel starts beating on his chest, and we get the reveal that his Eva has a what? Also has an S2 drive?
Also has an S2 drive.
Which looks exactly like the hearts of the angels.
And you find out that what the angels have is also called an S2. Because the Shinji's Eva at the end starts eating the angel that it has torn apart. And I think they say it absorbs its S2 engine.
Yes, they say that it absorbs it.
She has awakened.
Yes.
Was the quote.
Yes.
Also,
and
the arm rip, by the way, was maybe the coolest moment of this show. Where
there is just so much like
I think Ikari
gore.
getting half painted by its blood was the coolest moment for me, and he's just still standing there stone-faced like he always is.
I really liked that Eva 2...
Gendo with his hands like that, just covered in blood.
Yes.
Eva 1 gets its arm ripped off. It rips the angel's arm off in return, shoves it in, and regrows its arm. It was pretty great.
Oh, yeah, that part. As a human arm.
Yes.
There's just so much gore and blood.
Then
of these.
starts its the ring crawl across the...
Yeah, turns into the
so gross. Like
monster.
Voldo from Soul Calibur. Oh.
Yeah, and we find out that
Creepy.
the armor was also quote-unquote restraints.
They called it bindings.
Yeah, it was not actually armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 20 then picks up like still on that happening.
This is Ray's acid trip times 10.
Yeah, so Shinji is stuck inside.
Hold on.
They back up and they say he achieves a 400% synchronization rate.
Which means that he is in a quantum state?
He merges with the LCL inside of the entry plug.
This is another hand wavy physics thing.
Yeah, they don't really.
Yeah.
His body reverts to the primordial soup,
Basically.
is what they kind of claim.
And then he's in there for a month?
Yes.
Like
So
31
episode
days.
20 takes 30 days or 31 days.
Okay, so I guess we should finish this. He's in there 31 days. They try to get him out. They fail. And then the Ava just poops him out.
Well, Shinji makes a choice, right?
I guess.
So Shinji, during this whole time, you kind of see Shinji having this introspection kind of.
Sounds like he's having a
mental
conversation
odyssey.
with himself and the angel.
Yeah.
Or the not
Yes.
angel, but the Ava.
The Ava.
Or
yeah.
an angel, I guess, is probably what the Avas are. Anyway. It just poops him out at the end.
Yeah, because he's got that choice between like coming back, right? Like he sees the surface of the water like he's under it, or I say water, but the surface of whatever fluid he's under, as if he's trying to get back to the surface, and he's given the choice between doing that or in a very uncomfortable scene, joining body and soul with whatever it is that's speaking to him.
I tried not to take notes on that scene because I just do not want to ever think about it again.
They talk a lot about that, like becoming one and joining body and soul and all that through here.
They didn't need to do it that way.
I think the part that got me was it feels really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I don't need
Don't
this.
do that again, please. We also get some backstory from him while he's in there. It's clear that he ran away because of an Ava test, which I think it's time to start getting into theory time here.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of this block of episodes, so let's hear what you guys think is going to go on.
Clearly, this has happened before, they say. So, with no evidence of his mom being left alive, we assume now that his mom got absorbed by an Ava. Yes?
Well, I think I took that what he's talking to in this last episode is the whatever remains of his mother, who was used to make this particular Ava, which is both why he's the only one that can sync with it and why it acts to protect him so many times, and why Ikari, like Gento, is so bent on
Saving
this
Ava
one
1.
surviving over all of the other ones.
So it seems like human pilots need to be absorbed into the Avas to basically give them a soul.
Or maybe the other way, that
Or to
Shinji's
awaken
mother's
them.
soul is in the Ava.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
She was the last pilot of that Ava. She got absorbed by it. And now her soul is the Ava's soul.
See, I don't know that I took it that she was a pilot. I took it that she was the human portion of creating the Ava.
Oh no, man. I think the Avas are definitely like angel human clones or something. But she was definitely like a pilot situation. There's some sort of cloning thing happening here too, because Rey says she can be replaced.
They imply also that Rey is potentially Ikari's daughter as well.
Yes.
But she's the same age as Shinji.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that Rey is some sort of cloning thing because she says she can be replaced.
They say she's disposable, right?
Disposable, right? Yeah. I just don't think. I don't know. I think that.
Rey might be an Ikari can't let go of his wife that he feels responsible for killing situation.
Yeah. Rey might be like a clone. I wouldn't think like direct clone of the mom, but like, because then Shinji would be like, you look like my mom. But
yeah, but like made from her DNA
if
somehow.
his mom died when he was 3, he might not remember really what she looks like too much.
That's
They
true.
haven't seen
Because
pictures of her.
his dad, and that is commented on.
Makes
That
it
his
pretty
dad destroyed
creepy.
his dad destroyed everything, right, in that grave scene.
no pictures, nothing. Yep. Yeah, pretty creepy thought there, that if 14-year-old daughter he treats as his wife, not good. Wanted to stay away from that theory. But there you have it.
Well, I hate to say this, but we have two options here going forward. There are only six episodes left.
And some movies.
And one movie that is worth watching.
Oh, what's the other one? Because I see 2 movies on there every time I'm on there.
The one you want to watch is End of Evangelion.
What's the other one?
The other one is a movie that was cut together out of some stuff from... It does not have... all of that movie that is new is encompassed in End of Evangelion.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It has like some new scenes compared with the end of the anime, but the End of Evangelion goes farther. It's more complicated than that, but it's not worth going into.
So we want to watch 6 episodes and the movie, is what you're thinking.
Well, that's an option. Also, you have an option to stop before the last 2 episodes, 25 and 26, and then watch those with the movie.
Oh,
I don't know, man.
as hard as it was to stop at 20.
I know. It was like I could have been done by now.
Okay, if you guys want to do all the rest of it, we can do that. The movie
we
is
have
about
too much
90
to
minutes.
talk about. I guess we could just do a whole episode on it.
You will almost certainly want to devote the whole episode to it. And I will tell you that you might want to put an explicit warning on the last one, for sure.
Okay. Well, do we want to wait a couple of weeks then? And do all of it?
Well, 6 episodes is an hour plus, and then the movie is how long?
Hour and a half-ish.
Man.
Yeah, 6 episodes is 2 hours.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes a piece, even skipping the credits.
Man,
and
I'm totally going to watch it all tonight.
You can do this. You can do the 6 episodes and then do the movie another week.
But then we're left with a pretty bad cliffhanger in there. You said stop at 25, 26.
Well, based on where I suspect the discussion will go. But we can do the 6 episodes here, and then we'll do the movie another week. Let's do that.
Is the movie...
That is how people experienced it as well. So,
is the movie... Sure. How tied into the end is the movie? Or is it just like, oh, this is a whole separate thing?
I can't tell you that.
Okay. Man. Okay, so we're going to finish the show, and then we'll do the movie.
Okay. We will watch 21 through 26, and then we'll watch the movie the week after.
Okay. All right. So if you're following along, 21 through 26, listeners.
Yeah, and these ones, I mean, if it wasn't already obvious, don't watch these with your kids around.
It's already bad. No. Yeah,
that's a bad idea. Very bad idea. Especially these ones coming up.
Man, is the movie worse?
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm so uncomfortable. That's the name of this episode.
All right. Well, if you want to email us about how much you love this discussion,
do not send us stuff for the show ahead of time, please.
Yes, please do not. But you can send that to podcast@weweregamers.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at We Were Gamers on all those places, and follow this whole podcast on YouTube. It's really good.
We have Star Trek Subpod.
Yeah, and it rules.
Interested in Star Trek? We like it. It's fun. We like to watch Star Trek. We're almost done. Our next episode will be the final episodes of Star Trek Discovery, so check that out.
Season 1. Discovery.
Season 1, sorry. Yes, that's to clarify. Man, some stuff went down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad, because that show was kind of like
it
semi on life support before stuff happened.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about it there. And, I think that, I think we now have truly learned what the Cruel Angel's thesis was, right?
Torturing kids?